All right, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope you're all staying green. A couple of really nice moves today, and a lot of chop. So hopefully you were on the winning side. I want to start today with NIO. I did not trade NIO, unfortunately. This is my everyday watch, my favorite stock. I trade it more than anything. However, today I did not. Here is our open. Okay, these are our first 5 minutes. Now, this volume bar, if you didn't look at the numbers, looks like it's increased volume. But at 175,000 shares, our opening candle was at like 125. That is nothing for NIO. NIO opens with 1 million and usually runs at 300,000. So this is nothing. And so this is not uncommon for NIO. This happens frequently. However, it doesn't normally take this long. Usually by the second minute, third minute, we start to see that volume come in. However, today it was the 6th minute, and there it is right there. Now you can see the relativity here of how little that volume was in the first 5 minutes. I panicked here. I was waiting for the volume to come in to kind of set some value. And once we came in, we had a huge sell-off and came right back up. I kind of panicked. I felt like my entry at 37.65 stop loss. That would be my risk for $40. I could have easily gotten in under 38 in this 37.90 range. That would have been a really nice 30-cent risk. NIO makes, I like to have at least minimum 2R potential for me to take the trade. NIO makes bigger than 60-cent moves consistently, and it does it in a hurry. But however, I was just kind of on my heels here. The volume came in a little bit later than I expected. We were kind of bouncing around at S3, kind of bouncing on these moving averages. Unfortunately, what really disappointed me here is this pretty much sets up perfectly to my playbook. All the moving averages are below. We're closing above the VWAP. We tested the moving averages and closed above them after we tested them, which is a big deal for me. That kind of shows the confirmation of strength. However, I panicked. I didn't know what to do. I sat on my hands, and then NIO began to just take off. I mean, why would you ever stop, right? Like, there's a couple of red candles, and that's it. So, unfortunately, we did not catch this. All the way up to R4, just over $41, and we were talking about, an entry at 37.60 something. So, pretty rough $4 miss, $3 miss, but what are you going to do? So, let's go to where we did trade today. That was Apple. Apple is second on my most traded watch list. Unfortunately, what happened here is I had FOMO from NIO. NIO took off, and I missed it, and I didn't want it to happen again. So what we had here is kind of a strong open for Apple, and then we had a pretty big sell-off, test to VWAP, and come back and close almost to our 9 moving average. The volume was a little bit escalated here, so this is not necessarily a sign of strength or weakness for that matter. It's kind of, I feel like that is a fair candle for that volume. However, in the moment, I felt like we came down, tested, closed up. I felt like, well, okay, it's quite obvious that market makers are testing this. We got bought up, and we're ready to go. There aren't that many sellers. So I took my long position. We kind of went up. After we got this series of 2 candles, I should have known better and just maybe stopped myself out a little bit sooner. But I was desperate to make a move happen. I held and eventually hit my stop loss. And then, unfortunately, the FOMO was really kicking in at this point because at this stage, NIO's already up like $1.25, $1.50. We come and end up closing above VWAP after I get stopped out. So I think, okay, well, I should have set my moving average or my stop loss below the moving averages. And I did not do that. So that was my own fault. So I decided to enter again for whatever reason. I mean, the candle here closed below VWAP. We opened below VWAP, came up, tested. I should not be entering this until we close above VWAP with some strong volume, and instead I just kind of force it, hoping to make something happen, and guess what happens? I get stopped out. Surprise, surprise. Now, something I did want to talk about here, one of the reasons I entered here is I was trying to get a better price in case we did pop up quickly, which doesn't happen on Apple. It's a $132 stock, but it doesn't trade like that. It trades like a $20 stock. It's not huge movements. And so I was like, okay, I need to get a better R to R here. But what I ended up doing is lowering my stop loss and lowering my entry. So even though I'm getting in sooner, my stop loss, my risk is the exact same. So it doesn't make any sense. I would have been much better off waiting for the candle to stop above, setting it below moving averages, and calling it a day. Unfortunately, I didn't do that, so what happens? I'm now down 2R. I'm one trade away from being stopped out. Then we come back up. Once again, I enter in a little bit too soon. As you can see here, we close above. At this point, it's kind of hard to tell on the volume because of our 1 minute. There it is. Okay, yeah, here we go. All right, so we had once we broke this moving average, we had increased volume, and then we had a nice pop here on heavier volume again, and then it was just kind of steady volume. Steady volume. We had a big sell-off, but we actually had it on less volume. I think I read into this way too much here. At this point, I'm like trying to force some volume trades. I don't know what I'm doing in that aspect live in that moment. I don't know why I'm trying to do that is what I should say. So we ended up taking it long. Excuse me. We ended up getting our pop. We did get and break that... this was 1.4R. Typically, I like to take my partial. So here's what happened. I'll back up one candle so we don't see that. So I usually like to take my first partial at 1.5R at break of high a day, just because that is more times than not, you know, if you're going to lose a trade, it's going to go up to high of day and then reject and sell off. So if we break high of day or get to high of day and match it, I like to try and take a partial like a penny or two before. So I set this one at 132. I would have set this at like 132.69. I might have done actually 67. But I didn't do that. And I wanted to hold and try. At this point, I'm down 2R. I'm trying to maximize my return. That is something I am trying to work on this week too, is holding shares and not dumping them so quickly. Something I've been struggling with lately is trying to lock in that unrealized, watching it go up and down. So once we started to sell off, I actually did end up covering a little bit at that position just because I would be really upset. I had already passed on it once here, and we came down and got stopped out. I decided not to take it here, and we took a full 1R loss. So this time I was like, okay, I'm at least going to cover a little bit at that point because that's what I've been doing. It's been working. And then we come down and actually end up setting my stop at break even, which is my regret from the first trade. I shouldn't have partialed here like I didn't, but I should have set my stop loss at break even, because that's what I normally do in those situations. Once I partial up here, is I set stop loss at break even. So it didn't really make sense to me to hold this first trade all the way down to 1R. That was bad. So I ended up getting stopped out. We come down now. This is where I get really interested. At this point, we had increased volume on this big sell-off, but then we had a massive indecision. High volume at VWAP, and that really enticed me. Once we started coming back up with matching volume, I was like, okay, it's go time. So I hopped in one more time. This is one I felt really good about. I ended up partialing again at that first 1.2-ish R range, and then I ended up just covering up at levels. So we ended up our final partial, I had a heavy level right here at 133.50, so I partialed there, and then I set a stop loss trailing, and we actually ended up getting stopped out. I probably should have set it a little bit wider, but honestly, I think at this point we're just in a consolidation zone, so I'm okay being out of it. I don't really need to hold through this consolidation zone. I believe there's only 30 shares on 177 total, so kind of a heavier position, but not nothing crazy. All right. So that's it for today, everybody. We ended up green after taking a loss, slightly break even. I think I made 0.2R on the third trade, and then we made a really nice trade here on the final Apple. All right, kind of a long recap. Sorry about that. Have a great Friday. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you Monday, everybody.